Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your portal into Africa's potent stories. Today's top stories include the sentencing of Ugandan student Alsen Tuminwe over a TikTok post against President Museveni and Cameroon's electoral crisis as Maurice Kamto is barred from the presidential race. We unpack the U.S. bond policy impacting Malawi and Zimbabwe, as well as Sudan's accusation of the UAE-backed mercenaries and Ghana's seizure of Shatta Wale's Lamborghini. In economic news, we cover the Zambezi BRIM and the Cultural Expo and a joint investment bank initiative by Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso, plus the South African report with Ari Hochad. You can watch Africa Good Morning on DSTV 285, GoTV 25 and OneUp2.com, and also NTV Africa on YouTube. We will be right back shortly with our top stories.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today.
Irongo Med is a leading distributor, working in partnership with NewMed and WestMed to meet the comprehensive needs of the Namibian healthcare sector. As a partner pursuing sustainable global healthcare, we offer industry-leading medical solutions through our key focus areas, which include pharmaceuticals, orthopedics, ophthalmology, surgical devices and capital equipment, as well as a well-established scientific laboratory division. In healthcare, Irongo Med is committed to making a difference. What about you?
In our top stories this morning, Alsen Tuminwe, a university student who vanished after uploading a TikTok video critical of Uganda President Yoweri Museveni, has been sentenced to 2 months in prison. His disappearance on the 8th of June triggered outcry from activists and opposition figures who accused security forces of abducting him. Weeks later, he was reportedly dropped at a police station in Entebbe and charged with offensive communication and computer misuse. He pleaded guilty and requested leniency. The court in Entebbe handed down a 2-month sentence, citing his remorse. Tuminwe's video has mocked Museveni's apology to the Baganda people and criticized his long-standing role. Human rights advocates have raised concerns over shrinking freedom of expression in Uganda ahead of the next year's elections. Makerere University, where Tuminwe is a third-year student, had appealed for help finding him while he was missing. Reports emerged that he was tortured and in military custody, though authorities have not addressed these claims. Critics argue that Tuminwe's trial lacked fairness as he rejected legal representation from rights groups and was nudged into pleading guilty. Similar convictions have been handed down to other young Ugandans. Moving over to our next story. Cameroon's Constitutional Council has upheld a decision to exclude opposition leader Maurice Kamto from the upcoming presidential elections set for the 12th of October. The ruling follows the Electoral Commission's earlier move to bar Kamto due to a technicality. His candidacy was submitted under the Manidem party, which had endorsed endorsed another candidate. Now, despite Kamto's swift appeal, the Council's President Clement Atagana confirmed the decision, which is final and cannot be challenged. Kamto, who also came second in the 2018 elections, had not publicly responded. Human Rights Watch expressed concerns over the credibility of the process, highlighting broader doubts about fairness under President Paul Biya 43 rule. On Monday, police dispersed the protesters at the Constitutional Council entrance with tear gas, and several demonstrators were detained. Biya, who's now 92 and the world's oldest serving head of state, recently announced plans to run again. The opposition and civil society organization fear this development reflects a deepening dampdown on democratic participation ahead of the polls, reinforcing perceptions of institutional bias and authoritarian entrenchment in Cameroon's political landscape. Now we move over to our next story. The U.S. State Department has introduced a new policy requiring visitors from Malawi and Zambia to pay a refundable $15,000 deposit when applying for tourist or business visas. This 12-month pilot program targets countries with high visa overstay rates or insufficient vetting procedures. According to the U.S., about 14% of Malawans and 11% of Zambian visitors overstayed in previous years. The decision echoes broader immigration restrictions enacted under President Donald Trump, who signed an executive order on his first day in office to curb illegal migration. Consular officers will access bond requirements based on national security concerns and immigration risk. The policy may soon be expanded to include other countries, especially those offering citizenship by investment without residency obligation. Legal experts warn that the visa revocations are increasingly targeting individuals based on their record or based on their criminal record, or political activities, now including pro-non-Palestinian advocacy. Critics see this move as another layer of discrimination disproportionately affecting Africans while aligning with the U.S. administrator's harsher immigration stance. The bond will be refunded at the end of a lawful stay, but questions linger over its fairness and impact on genuine travelers. Moving over to our next story. Sudan has formally accused the United Arab Emirates of deploying mercenaries, including Colombians and individuals from unnamed African countries, to fight along the Rapid Support Forces in its ongoing civil war. The Sudanese Foreign Ministry claims it has irrefutable evidence of Emirati sponsorship and financing of these fighters, though no specific proof was presented so far. The UAE has categorically denied the allegations, dismissing them as an attempt to derail peace efforts. The civil war, which erupted in April 2023, has left more than 40,000 people dead and displaced 12 million, as well as driven the nation towards famine. Sudan has long accused the UAE of arming the RSF, a charge the Gulf state denies. Which the Gulf state denies. Previously, UAE manufactured armored vehicles were reportedly captured by the Sudanese army. Human rights groups have accused both Sudanese military and RSF of atrocities, including ethnic cleansing and sexual violence. The Emirati government insists it remains committed to humanitarian support and peace, labeling this accusation a coordinated disinformation campaign. Meanwhile, international pressure grows for a ceasefire and an inclusive transitional process that reflects the Sudanese people's aspirations. And in our final story, Ghanaian musician star Shatta Wale has surrendered a luxury Lamborghini Urus to the authorities following a U.S. Request linking the vehicle to a criminal enterprise. The bright yellow 2019 SUV was allegedly bought with proceeds from a fraud scheme orchestrated by Ghanaian national Nana Kweba Amoah, who is currently serving a 7-year prison term in the U.S. Shatta Wale denies any connection to Amoah and insists he purchased the car legally for $150,000 US. He criticized the way officers stormed his home, calling the show of force unnecessary. The Economic and Organized Crime Office said the vehicle will be returned to the U.S. as part of Amoah's $4.7 million US restitution to victims. They stated the car was retrieved without They stated that the car was retrieved without incident and that it's standard protocol for armed officers to present during the operation. U.S. court documents reveal that Amoah's network impersonated vendors to siphon funds nearly worth 70 public and private entities. Despite the controversy, Wale remains defiant, saying he complied fully and is now accusing the agency of using the situation to humiliate him unnecessarily. Now let's have a look at the weather forecast across SADC for today.
Mornings just got better, Namibia. From the latest headlines to the hottest trends, we're bringing you the conversations that matter.
That's right. Bright minds, bold opinions, and a touch of morning magic. This is your daily dose of energy.
So grab a cup and join in on the conversation every weekday morning at 8 o'clock with Smell the Coffee, hosted by Diana Master and Aina Raisa Quayo.
Ari Hougaard now joins us to bring us a report from South Africa. Good morning, Ari. How are you doing?
Yes, very good morning. Nice to talk to everyone. Yes, nice morning here in Cape Town.
All right, Ari, let's start with your current affairs news stories. South Africa still faces international trade uncertainties, and indications are that the European Union and China might play a bigger part moving forward. What's your take on this? And please expand more on this story.
Yes, Lana. Yes, it is definitely the European Union and China that is in play. It is important relationships that needs to be built. You talked earlier about all the executive orders of United States of America. So trade is a challenge in South Africa at the moment, and those were moments where handshakes were made between basically Southern Africa and the European Union, and it is related to economic partnership agreement in 2016. That was signed, and it eliminates custom duties, large percentages on South Africa. So that's a meeting earlier in the year. That is President Trump and President Ramaphosa. So things didn't go that well at that meeting. Seems like related to trade. So the executive order on South Africa with 30% tariff stand, and it seems to be continuing. It kicks into effect tomorrow. And there's no trade agreement yet. But let's look at the trade partners of South Africa just briefly. It is the USA actually not the biggest role player, but they're a massive role player. So South Africa's got three biggest export countries and trade partners would be the European Union first, about 18 billion US dollars annually that's exported to the European Union. Then about 12 billion US dollars exported value to China every year, and about 10 billion to the USA. So it's quite close between the three, but not all of that 10 billion exports to the USA can be replaced just instantly. So it's negotiations needs to be done. There's a G20 conference, all the world leaders coming to Africa, South Africa and Johannesburg in November, but lots of talking needs to be done before that. So it was also Mr. Fikile Mbalula, the ANC Secretary General. He had a briefing on Wednesday that was just reporting back from ANC NEC meetings, but he was quite defiant. He said if the US want to sanction us, they can bring it on. So he's very defiant in that, but it's not as easy as that. One example is the ostrich farming in Oudtshoorn. That's one example, and they supply leather goods. There's ostriches. They supply leather goods, leather to the USA, to Texas, and they make boots of that. So it's an industry that's worth about 580 million South African rand annually. So it's massive for those industries. They cannot add just 30% tariff being added on that side will kill their business. So they're looking at the European Union. They're looking at luxury handbag markets for taking their leather to Italy and France, but that takes time. So there's maybe a plan B and a plan C, but it doesn't happen overnight. So hopefully that will be sorted out. And talking about the birds, second part of my current affairs story, maybe I can add, and that is related to there's a scare of bird flu in the Western Cape, unfortunately. So the Department of Agriculture in the Western Cape, they confirmed that there was an outbreak on a farm in Paarl, and that's with a duck farm. But there were also earlier outbreaks in the northwest and also in Mpumalanga of bird flu. So those areas and those farms are protected now. There's a 48-hour in and out protection. They're not getting in contact with wild birds. So obviously bird flu is affecting domestic and wild birds. But we need to protect our poultry farms because it's a massive industry in South Africa. Just to put it into context, the annual gross value on production in South Africa is 72 billion South African rand on just poultry farming across South Africa. So it's a massive part of the economy. So hopefully that can be contained, that the bird flu don't spread further. We don't need that with all the tariffs coming in. So that's current news at the moment.
In soccer news this morning, all the way from South Africa, MTN Cup, big rivals Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns will meet in the semi-finals. And in the South African women rugby, the team is ready for the 2025 World Cup in England. Ari has more on these two stories.
Yes, South Africa and Namibia and Africa love our sport. The soccer is a big one. It's the MTN 8 semi-finals that's going to be played over 2 weekends. The first one on the weekend of 16 and 17 August. Two big teams, probably the two favorites. So they've been drawn to play in this one semi-final. It is Orlando Pirates and also Mamelodi Sundowns. They're big rivals, and they will play the first leg on the 16th or the 17th of August, the next round after that. Orlando Pirates have won the tournament 13 times, Mamelodi Sundowns 4 times. The other two teams have not won it at all. So it's Stellenbosch United. They will play against Sekhukhune United. And the Sekhukhune United, a brilliant story. They come from Burgersfort. It's a small town in the Limpopo. They've gone all the way to the semi-final of this competition, and would be a great story if they can go through to the final. And also related to the Women's Rugby World Cup coming up, Women's Rugby, that is going to be played in England. That's the South African women's team in action against the All Blacks, the Black Ferns. South Africa actually won that game just the past weekend, 41-26. So it's a great preparation for them. New Zealand have won that World Cup 6 times. Didn't bring their strongest team, but still a very strong team. So that starts on the 22nd of August. England play against the USA, but South Africa, their first game on the 24th against Brazil. They also play against Italy and France in the tournament. So everybody's ready for another World Cup for the women. That's in England. That's sport in South Africa at the moment.
All right, Ari, let's move on to entertainment news. One of South Africa's natural wonders is in the Congo Caves in the Southern Cape region, and more than that, 100,000 tourists visit the caves annually. Tell us about these caves and why I should visit.
Yes, you should definitely visit, and other places, and Cape Town as well. But the Cango Caves, it's in the Southern Cape. Look at that, that's spectacular. And it was stumbled upon in 1780 by a farmer. I'm sure there were people there before that, but in 1780 there was a farmer that stumbled on his ground onto that amazing discovery. So there's tunnels almost 4 kilometers deep into there's only about a quarter of that open to the public, but it's spectacular. And you can do a tour. You can do a tour of about 60 minutes or 90 minutes. It costs about 180 Rand, and it's spectacular. You can see all the visitors there. That's been formed over millions of years. And so there's 250,000 people visiting the caves annually. So it's a big attraction. That's the area where it looks like it's on the Route 62 rather. That's also a tourist route from Oudtshoorn. So Oudtshoorn is the town that's closest. It's at the foothills of the Swartberg Mountains. So it's spectacular to visit. If you're in that area, anybody from Namibia close to that area, definitely go to the Cango Caves. It's definitely worth the visit. So that's entertainment news from South Africa.
All right, Ari, thank you so much for that comprehensive report all the way from South Africa. I will be, saving up some money so that I can go to those caves. They look so beautiful. What a really, really beautiful sight. And on that note, thank you so much to each and every one of you for watching our show this morning. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Happy Thursday.